Hello all. Where would you like to ride today? The countryside? How about the city? Maybe a mountain forest? Or a sandy beach? No matter how far away, or in our own backyard, I hope you'll ride along. Hello all. It is another very early morning here at On the Road with Vincent. Just past 3:30 in the morning. We have just gotten gas. Been on the road for just about 30 minutes. Not too far from home. Going through Dry Pond, Virginia at the moment. About to turn off onto Creasy's Chapel Road. A road many of you might be familiar with here on my channel. And we are making a return to a destination we've already visited on this channel once, and I have many times in my life. It's early in the morning. I've got a yoo-hoo by my side, and we are on the road for Carolina Beach once again. Now, we will still be taking U.S. Highway 421 from Greensboro on, but since it's so early in the morning, we decided to take another route to get to Greensboro. One I feel like we can make some pretty good time on. And since you've seen most of this journey already, I won't bore you with a lot of the same stuff all over again. But we will try to visit a couple new places and at least maybe get a chance to see some things we were not able to last year. Be a good way to make a comparison to see how well the Pleasure Island communities are doing post COVID-19 shutdowns. As we went last year, we were just coming out of the shutdowns. Been almost a year now since we've been, and be interested to see how things have changed. But we've still got another 3 hours, give or take, until sunrise. I won't bore you with a lot of dark roads in the meantime. So I will see you again come daylight. and good mythical morning to you all from Bowie's Creek, North Carolina, hometown of Rhett and Link of Good Mythical Morning, and of course home to Campbell University. We've been on the road now for about 4.5 hours. We just stopped to eat a little while ago, been on the road about another half hour since then. Had a pretty nice breakfast, kind of reminiscent of my trips to Carolina Beach when I was younger. You know, getting out really early in the morning, stopping to eat breakfast around Sanford, and, you know, just riding on through the morning, getting down there earlier in the day, rather than, you know, here the last few times I've taken this trip, usually driving on into the evening or late at night. But we're going to keep on rolling just a little while longer. We've passed the halfway point now and should be arriving in just about another 3 hours. All right, so as per usual, we're just now leaving the Walmart of Clinton, North Carolina. Usually the last stop on the long stretch between here and Wilmington. Still got a couple more hours to go. Might be running a little bit behind now. Kind of got stuck in a little bit of morning work traffic, but for the most part still making pretty good time. Gonna try to blow right through Wilmington, try not to stop anymore until we have reached Pleasure Island. Finally entering the port city of Wilmington, North Carolina. Passing the battleship North Carolina on the left of us here. As I said in my first video to the area, one of my favorite views is from the top of this bridge, especially at night, seeing all of downtown Wilmington lit up on the riverfront. It's not quite 10 o'clock yet. We've only been on the road just less than 7 hours. Of course, some stops in between. So, still making pretty decent time. Now, we're going to make a stop once we do get to Carolina Beach. But then, instead of checking in, as it's still a good bit too early to, we're going to head straight down to the southern end of the island. arrived in Carolina Beach after roughly 7 hours and 15 minutes on the road. At first glance, mostly everything still looks the same as last year. Doesn't look like too much has been affected, but I guess we'll see once we get more into the heart of things. Now, we are here a bit earlier this year than I'm used to. Normally I'm here middle to late May, sometimes later June, but this is, while I'm filming this is currently the last week of April. So a good month before the season even really starts here, but hopefully there'll still be some things open to enjoy. But we're about to get some bait, and we'll be back on the road shortly. So along 421, Carolina Beach does look, for the most part, the same. Again, haven't really been along the heart of it yet, around the boardwalk area. We will get there later today, though. And for the most part, Curry Beach looks pretty much the same as well, as it always has, at least as far as I can remember. So if you saw our trip last year, you'll know that the ferry we normally take was closed for repairs and, of course, delayed because of COVID. But they have since completed the new loading ramp, which was quite a bit smoother than it used to be. So we're going to go ahead and take a little trip over to Southport and not have to drive 100 miles out of the way to do so. All right, so we have finally arrived in Southport, North Carolina. I've been making pretty good time actually today. Figured we'd have to wait for the 11:30 ferry to leave, but we caught the 10:45, made it over here, and I think since we're this early, we're going to go ahead and ride out to Oak Island again and see if anything new is out there. Finally on Oak Island now, headed toward the Oak Island Lighthouse. Now, if you saw my video from last year, set up the drone and, got some pretty nice footage with that. But I had only had the drone a few weeks, hadn't really got any practice yet with it. So let's see if I can do any better now with almost a year's worth of experience on it. Now the weather is considerably nicer than it was when we were here last year. Last year we hit a pretty bad storm when we came out to Oak Island and while in Southport. You know, pretty bad wind, rain, a lot of lightning strikes nearby, and it was very hot last year. Right now, it is a nice 77 degrees. You know, I'm a much bigger fan of the cooler weather than I am summer. So, you know, typically 77's already too hot for me, but, you know, down here, I'll take a 77 over anything in the 80s or 90s. But while we've got such nice weather, we're going to head out to the point once again and maybe actually get to spend more than just a few seconds there this year. So after a few minutes of trekking through the sand, we have finally reached the point of Oak Island. Now, I had recorded a little bit of myself here, but the wind was actually blowing so bad that you couldn't even hear me. But anyways, if you remember last year, we actually came out here for a few minutes just so I could try to fly the drone, but it was about to storm and start pouring down rain, so I only got to fly it for a few minutes. But as you can see today, the weather was absolutely beautiful. So where we're standing is actually the westernmost point of Oak Island, and right across the Intracoastal Waterway here is Holden Beach, North Carolina. It's kind of hard to see its significance from the land, but I'll send the drone up here in just a second so you can get an even better look at the point of Oak Island. So we are now leaving Oak Island, headed back for Southport. Gonna make a few stops there before heading back to Pleasure Island and Carolina Beach. Spent a little more time here on Oak Island than I'd really planned. I was going to do a little fishing at Southport, but the last ferry leaves at 6:15. It's now right about 3:30. I'd probably have time, but I also don't want to take the chance, get to the ferry a little bit late, and then still have to make that 50-mile drive out of the way back to Carolina Beach. So, I will see you in Southport. Now back in Southport, North Carolina. Looks much better on a clear day like this than it did in the pouring rain last year. So, Southport, North Carolina. Of course, quite a few movies have been filmed here. Stephen King movie, Firestarter. Then, of course, I Know What You Did Last Summer was filmed right here on the waterfront. And I know one of those terrible romance movies, I think, was shot down here. Probably a few of them, I don't know. But I do love coming down here. Rain or shine, preferably shine. There's just something I really like about Southport. It's just a very charming little inland coastal town, and pretty old at that. Most of these coastal towns are naturally some of the oldest towns, communities in our country. Southport is much like Wilmington in many ways, not nearly as big, but, you know, as I said last year, Wilmington just has that still modern town, but with that very colonial charm to it, I guess you would say. But that is all for Southport this time around. Now we have to hopefully catch the ferry in time. If not, then we've got over an hour wait until the next one, about an hour and a half wait. And if we don't catch that one, it's making that 50-mile drive again. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and you'll know here very shortly if we did catch the next ferry. So we made it in plenty of time for the 4:45 ferry, only to arrive at the terminal, be greeted with a sign that said, "Be back in a few minutes. Next ferry leaves at 6:15. So rather than sit and wait over an hour and a half for the next ferry, then still another 30-minute ferry ride, I guess we're going to make that drive anyways. So we got a 50-mile drive ahead of us. Should take a little over an hour to get back to Carolina Beach. So kind of frustrating, but oh well, what are you gonna do? If we'll be back over there a little after 5:30, but if we'd sat and waited, we wouldn't be back till close to 7:30. So we need to go ahead and get checked into our motel, get something else to eat, and I guess we're going to try our best to enjoy the rest of this ride. So we'll see you soon. So while we're still in Southport, trying to make our way out, quite a bit of construction going on right now, so they're detouring a lot through town. But next time we're here, I think I'm gonna try to explore a little bit more of the town outside of the shops. Just noticed, on some of these back streets here, some stuff I never really have seen. The Smithvale Burying Ground, the oldest stone dated at 1804 apparently, and the old Brunswick County Jail right across the road from it. That looked pretty cool as well. Granted, I guess we really have all the time we want now, but we do need to be getting back before it gets too late, as we've been up for almost 15 hours already and been on the road for almost 14 by now. Really need to get some rest sometime soon as well. I was kind of looking forward to that ferry ride just to sit and relax a little bit, but I try my best to stay motivated on this drive. So once again, for the second time today, crossing the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge back into Wilmington, North Carolina. Don't get me wrong, I love this view from up here. Very old doing it multiple times a day. I can't even imagine for the people who live down here. So we have finally made it to the beach strand at Carolina Beach. Took a little longer than an hour's drive. Got stuck in quite a bit of traffic between Wilmington and here. But for the most part, stuff does look pretty much the same. I guess we'll check out the boardwalk probably tomorrow night. And I'm not sure if this is visible or not over here. Yeah. But I mentioned last year that the winter cruise boats were not present in the Carolina Beach Marina, and that appears to still be the case. So it seems, unfortunately, they might have been retired. And finally, for once this year, staying someplace new in Carolina Beach. Leaving Dolphin Lane and Savannah Inn behind, this year we're going to give the Beach House Inn and Suites a try.